Welcome back to the Money Making Mamas podcast. I am your host and co-founder of Money Making Mamas, Nancy Wallace-Lobbs, and I'm joined today by
the other co-founder and host of Money Making Mamas podcast, Kelcie Leka.
And Kelcie happens to be my daughter. So we are a mother-daughter duo, and we focus on helping moms learn how to make money through real estate investing.
Yep. And then this podcast, we just kind of jump around, talk about us and, you know, self-directed IRAs, short-term rentals.
Yeah,
we're
so-
going to have our first guest in a couple of weeks, so
Yes.
we're really excited about that.
Yes, and I do have to apologize because I think our last podcast on the self-directed IRA, it was a dry subject, and it was hard to make it. I kept going to myself, oh my gosh, so boring. So if you stuck through the whole thing, thank you very much. If this makes you want to listen to it, hey, that's a good too. So, but let's catch up a little bit, Kelcie, because we have a project going on, kind of a family project going on at our lake house, and we are renovating by adding more beds, by actually building bunk beds into the wall. We're doing quads. So so I was down last weekend at the lake house with hubby Brian, and we were getting the wood and getting all the measurements and getting the room ready. And then your hubby, my favorite son-in-law, is headed to the lake house tonight, and they're going to finish the job over the next day or so. So we're excited, right?
Yeah, no, I think that'll be really fun. It'll be a different summer because last year, so obviously doing this because it's beneficial to the Airbnb, but last year, do you remember we had to stick Toby in the bathroom?
I know we did because yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and it's not even 1,400 square feet.
Yeah,
so it's a tight fit, and we contemplated. Oh my gosh, okay. The dogs have bones, so hopefully they're just gonna chill, right? Yeah.
Keep going.
We contemplated actually selling or buying another larger one, but then I was like, no, that's not what my investing strategy is. So we just decided we're gonna hack it out. And then this summer, though, we said, okay, the kids are getting out of cribs. The oldest boy, he's 3 now. He's out of his crib, and
I just don't think Toby sleeps well in a pack and play anymore. So she had just turned 1 last summer. And so, her and Bear would kind of play and, you know, stay up. And both of them are very much FOMO babies. And so that's why we had to stick her in the bathroom because they just both kept playing. So
and it was very safe. Yeah, it was very safe.
yeah. It was, I mean, other parents do it too, so it's fine. But it's funny because we'll see how it is this year because they'll actually share a room.
That's right.
Which they've never really done that without us.
Exactly. And the other thing is it'll give you and Zach some privacy, and you won't have to worry about, okay, we're going to stay up a little bit longer. And also Bear was waking up and getting in bed with you. So I think it'll be good. It'll be good. Plus, we're going to add 2 more beds to our house sleeps 6. Now we'll be able to advertise it as 8. So hopefully we'll be making some more money that way too. So
I know you guys are doing that. And then we just finished our project at our own house. So I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but a couple weeks ago was Bear's birthday party, and so we had friends and everyone over, and we just thought it would just be the smartest idea to renovate our front room. And that
like a week before the party,
a couple of days before the party. So Brian, my stepdad, and Zach, they both demoed I think like Monday. Zach I think it was Monday. They demoed it and definitely made the mistake of not putting up plastic, and so sheetrock dust was everywhere. So anyway, so that was Monday and Tuesday, and then they were working, and then both of them got really busy with work, and so luckily, Wednesday came around, and they were messing with the door. And sorry, I guess I should preface, we were turning our dining room into a office for Zach, but also a guest room. So what we were doing is it was an open like archway, and just an open front room, no doors or anything like that. And then we wanted to frame it off and put in French doors to like close it, and we'll put curtains so it can also act as a guest room because we have a pull-out couch. So that's what we did to that room. But anyways, so luckily one of our friends who's a contractor, because again, the party was on Saturday. This is at Wednesday, and both of them were busy with work, and Zach like couldn't even touch it on Wednesday. And so he texted him late last night and he's like, hey, by chance, do you have anyone? And so luckily our friend came through and was like, hey,
which you were lucky.
I got two guys to spare, and they finished it, and it was all done by Friday afternoon. And like we still need to paint it, but it looks really good. Anyways, the party was Saturday, so that was a lot of fun. So there was still sheetrock dust in our house until like Friday afternoon.
Well, and let's just, do a shout out to Brian and Zach, because they did, talk about a DIY.
Yeah.
They added a patio cover in a weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice too. I mean, shingled and, wood framed out and the whole bit. So they can do it. It's just they got tied up with work. So that's what happens when
their day jobs.
Their day jobs, right?
But I guess this is a good segue of what we wanted to talk about this week. And last so we talked about self-directed IRAs last time, but the time before that we talked about short-term rentals and kind of things to look at when analyzing a property, how to decorate it, things you should do, maybe not do. So we thought it would be kind of a good episode to talk about long-term rentals and kind of owning your own property and what renovations you can do there on a budget, DIY, or if you are looking to hire a contractor, just kind of things you should be aware of and all that.
Yeah, and I think, I want to make sure we focus on things that, it's great. And I see new investors getting really excited about the project, but then they over-improve.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of know what you need to do.
Right.
On a budget. So we can talk about DIY things. I'm going to share a couple stories of how I'm going to just jump in, right? So, we're going to go all the way around the house. We're going to talk about the curb appeal and then kind of go room by room. Like if you're going to spend money, whether it's your own house or a house that you're renovating, and where you should spend the money for the biggest bang for the buck.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, it's pretty common. You can do kitchens, if you hire a professional contractor, you can really increase the value of your home by updating your kitchen and getting new appliances and things like that.
So kind of backing up. Okay. So say we were to pick, I don't know, single family home, 3-2. Let's just say that's our house. Okay. Right. Okay, so one of the first things going up to the property, and this is like one of the big things that sold us on our house, but the curb appeal.
Yes.
And kind of talking about that and where you should put your money with that.
Well, okay, so I'm going to first back up even more. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath is what we're talking about. And the first thing you're going to do is the foundation. I mean, we're in Texas, and just about any house that you buy here, unless it's brand new, that's probably going to have some kind of foundation if you're looking at older homes. So for curb appeal, I'm going to be looking for cracks. I'm going to be looking around the windows, like how are the window seals done? Is there caulk missing or shrunk? And just really the overall appeal of the windows, like what are they double paned, because that can add a lot of value to the house too. And then as you're walking up, what does the curb appeal, like what does the front door look like? Now let's just talk about if it's your personal home versus a rental property.
Well, should we do 2 categories of like,
definitely.
Let's just focus on, what do you want to focus on first?
Well, let's focus on personal home, right? When you're out shopping for a home, or if you're trying to sell a home. Okay, so here's some little realtor tips.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
So let's set the the groundwork. Okay, so say a family owns, so mom listening out there owns a 3-2, and she's looking to put money into, they've already purchased it, all like that. But they're looking to get more on their house when they're going to sell it in maybe 6 months.
Okay. So they're going to flip
it. The stuff that they're, or maybe they're upgrading their house, whatever it is, they're just trying to sell their home. They purchased it. They've been living in it for like maybe 2 or 3 years. This is what they should be doing.
Okay.
So
let's start with the outside.
Front door. Maybe we shouldn't, if you're trying to sell your house, probably shouldn't have a green, crazy neon door.
Exactly. Unless it goes with the overall appeal of the neighborhood, right? But yes, and kind of just a little rule of thumb that I've used over the years, like I look at the neighbor's door. So if each of the neighbor's doors, let's say, is white, then I might keep it wood stained. Or if everybody has the same design door, then I might do a little bit. Let's say everybody has the arched window with the little window that you open up. So I might do square, right? Just to stand out.
Just to stand out a little bit.
A little bit to kind of be more eye appealing. And then color of the door is important, but it needs to match the house. So, there for a while, red doors were in. And red doors can be really cool on the right kind of brick house or wood. And then you can really trick it out with handles. I forget what you call those, but the handles, the latches, the things like that. And then the trim around the house.
And I think one thing that we did, so we had a house that was kind of old. What year was it? Was like 1980 something.
Yeah, 85.
So we had a 3-2 bedroom. My husband and I, that was kind of our first home that we purchased. And maybe we should, just talk about the kind of things that we did there. But we didn't paint the door or anything, but we did clean it up because it was like really dusty and things like that from the previous owner, and just over the years as well. Like, I mean, we just had that huge dust storm out of nowhere here. But another thing we did was, so we had 2 columns, and they were like kind of that plastic material, like the plastic siding. So we actually replaced that. I think we just painted that siding, but then we changed the columns to cedar posts.
Yes.
And that was pretty inexpensive. And I think it changed. And another thing that Zach did was he actually removed the older shutters that like were kind of just dated and, same thing. The color was kind of dusty looking and things like that. He took that off and actually stained wood and made his super simple, like 2x4, right? I think 2x4, and like got 2 of them or 3 of them, stacked them up, did one across the top, one across the bottom. And then he made our own shutters. So just doing that right there, doing the cedar posts, painting the siding, and doing new shutters, that was all relatively inexpensive. And we did it ourselves. And I think it like was almost a game changer for our front yard.
Yes, it really changed it. It kind of really made it stand out because it was in a cookie cutter kind of neighborhood. The other thing you can do that's very inexpensive is power wash your house.
Yeah.
Because just over years, grime and everything builds up. You can paint brick if you have brick house or whatever.
Well, okay, so do you think, your personal opinion, so have you noticed, and that we might be talking about a specific area like Dallas. One thing that I have noticed is I think a lot of people that have brick houses, maybe in like kind of southern states, like I feel like that's very common. I guess I'm thinking like Oklahoma, so maybe not like southern states. So I've seen this in Oklahoma too. Anyways, but brick houses, and they paint it white. Do you think that's a good move, or do you think that?
So for me, that's kind of trendy. I think white brick with the black shutters and black trim, I think that looks really cool.
I think it looks really good.
It looks really good. And so it just depends on if that's at what time and what the market is demanding. So a lot of times what you can do, especially if you're working with a real estate agent, is just get an idea of what houses are selling and what do they look like, kind of, look at the pictures and things like that. But you're right, you brought up areas. So in Dallas, it's very, Midwestern and, there are trendy neighborhoods, but for the most part, we have stucco, some neighborhoods have stucco homes and the red tile, try to be like more like Phoenix.
Right.
But then when you're in, like, say, Charleston just comes to mind because they have all those colorful houses. Right. So it does depend on where you're at. And so one of the things I can say for curb appeal is you do want your house to stand out, but not in that annoying way. Right? Like, so if all the houses... A tasteful way. That's very good. Yeah. So here's Murray with us today.
Yeah, so. Always. Because I think one thing... Because I do really like the white houses, the painted on brick, but I just am like... Because I know Zach wanted to do that for a while, especially to the Hale house. But I was just so nervous because is that just a trendy thing? And maybe in
and I think in that particular...
And I guess also, too, how fast we would want to sell.
Yes. And I think in your particular neighborhood, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been too kind of upscale for the neighborhood. So you do have to kind of look at that. Now, also, I'm going to move into landscaping.
Yeah, that was another one
so you can... and you don't have to spend a lot of money doing this. A really good trick, like if you're trying to stage your outside of your house... and you don't have time to plant because it's, freezing out or it's getting ready to freeze, you can just buy potted plants.
Yeah.
I even saw this thing on Pinterest where they were using fake plants and you just stick them in the ground. You get some mulch, and I like black or red mulch. Again, it depends on your house. Edging, getting someone to edge. And then if you're going to, we had a house that we were over budget, and it had a pool in this huge backyard, and we did not have the budget to sod the entire backyard. So we seeded it, and we had about 3 weeks, and it was spring/summertime. And I was just out there every day hand watering that thing. And so by the time we went on the market in 3 weeks, we had a backyard of grass. Now, was it thick? No, but it looked nice. So you can like grow grass fast if you have to, not in the wintertime. But again, just making it look nice. And if you have trees, trim them away from the house. Shrubs, kind of a rule of thumb for shrubs in the house is don't have them covering the window because that's kind of a safety issue anyway. Just everything kind of neat and colorful.
So I will say too, I think we'll go to the bougie category really quick. If you can afford it, our garage is probably one of the things that sold us on our house now. Like they put that, it looks wood, and so I think that's like a huge thing because people
a wood door.
A wood door. Yes, thank you. That is like one of the biggest compliments we get at our house is like, I love your garage door, because again, not a lot of the neighbors. I mean, there's like only a handful in our neighborhood that have wooden garage doors. And so it's not crazy. It matches the brick really, really well.
And it does look nice. Now, let me say, it just so happens you have a front-facing garage. Now, if you have an alley, so at my house, it's in the alley. Sense. It doesn't make sense to upgrade my garage door because it's in the alley. And everybody has the same type of garage door. But in your neighborhood,
we have front-facing.
Yeah, front-facing. So it makes a difference. So.
And then one thing that we recently did was at our own house, so not the one that the 3-2 that we had previously, but our current house that we're living in is Zach cut down our crepe myrtle trees. And I think that makes a world of a difference too, because they look okay in the springtime, but as soon as they start shedding, like the amount of maintenance that you have to do, and it just doesn't look good. And
because all their little flowers and everything get in.
And we have this window, like we have this like in our entry, like where our front door is, and then like it's high up, but we had this window that you could never see because of the trees were always in the way. And now that the trees are cut down, it's kind of like just adding a little extra to the house,
to the way it looks from the outside. So again, it's going to be region really specific, because older places in Dallas have beautiful large trees that make the yard, but sometimes in these neighborhoods like where we live, like we have 2 oak trees out front that are like probably too big, and they do cover the house a lot. But if I renovated a house once that had a lot of trees in the front, and they were just so overgrown, and we hired somebody to come out and trim them up. Oh my gosh, it just changed the face of the house. And this was before we even painted it or anything like that. So landscaping can add a lot.
It can.
And I'm just going to say one more thing about the outside is lighting, because sometimes people go in the evening to see houses, in the wintertime more so, but having just a little bit of light, you can get those solar lights. They're very inexpensive.
Well, and just again, if you're talking about what can you do to your house to kind of elevate it, whether you're selling it or maybe you are living in it and you just need that like extra touch, but maybe you don't want to go out of the budget, changing out the front porch light fixture, we did that. And I'm just gonna jump ahead a little bit, we also did that for our hallway was lit by I think like 3 sconces, or however you say them. And we changed those out and to more modern ones, and it made a difference. So with that, moving into the house.
So
typically, I think houses have a dining room right off the start, right? I mean,
or an open room,
right
off of the living or off of the entryway. Yes.
So going back to our house, because we'll just talk about what we did to really up how it looked and just update it, and then for future like wanting to sell it. So it was carpet, and it was nasty carpet. So I would say flooring is like one of the first things, if you can afford it, should really look at changing the flooring.
Now you can, this is my thoughts on flooring. A house will seem bigger if the flooring flows from the time you enter it, especially if it's just first, ground floor or just a single story, if you have the same type of flooring throughout. So if you walk into my house, you walk in, because it's builder grade from when we bought it back in, it was built in 2008. So you got the builder grade tile coming in. And then I have a dining room off of the entryway. It's got carpet. Then it has 2-story carpet going up the stairs. But the primary bedroom is downstairs, so it's got carpet, and then you have to tile throughout. So we keep talking about this. I renovate other houses. I guess I should be renovating. But what we would do is put in that luxury vinyl plank, all through the downstairs, and it would make our house look even bigger, right? So that's just a trick you can do to open it up. And then the baseboards, you can really add a lot. Now, baseboards can get pricey if you can install them yourselves, and you can actually learn how to put flooring down. Brian and I both have done it before. Getting the cuts right is probably the hardest thing, but I mean, it's pretty simple to put flooring down.
Well, and let's talk about that really quick because yes, at the house that we had previously, that's what we did. You walked in and it was a large living room, and there was a pretty large floor to ceiling brick wall fireplace, right? And then it kind of went into the kitchen. And side note, I could not imagine this house with vinyl plank. Just so funny. So if you do that, that'll look different. Anyways, going back to our house. So walk in, we had carpet, and then the kitchen was a little bit off, and that was tile. But yeah, that's one of the first things that we did was we changed the flooring to the vinyl plank. But yes, you can do it yourself, but I did notice a difference when we did it, and then we had that flood happen in our house, and then luckily the insurance, paid for us to like get our floors redone. I could tell a major difference doing it yourself versus hiring someone as well. So because again, going back to that brick fireplace, because that was that was just a uneven texture, and so that was really hard to like figure out and whatnot. So all of this to say, if it fits in the budget, maybe consider contractor if you can warp it into another price. But DIY, if you do it, just make sure, because I think that was one of the first things that I noticed was it was a little janky when we did it DIY, but then when it was like instantaneous. I could see like the difference, the
level of professionalism.
I could really see it, which is, I think that's funny because that's not something that I would normally like point out. So just be aware of that if you do the DIY projects, like especially like when it comes to flooring, make sure it.
Yes, and you know what? I want to jump over because I want to talk about flooring in your personal home versus a rental home, right? And maybe if we could go back about the landscaping, because all these things that we're talking about, you would do primary, right?
Right.
But if you have a rental, now I'm going to preface, we're going to talk about long-term rentals, not short-term rentals, because that's a different podcast, and we already went there, right? So I would do the very minimum outside. I'm not going to worry about the shrubs because the tenant's going to kill them anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to just make sure it looks clean. I'm not going to put a lot of effort or money on the outside unless I'm going to fix the foundation or maybe put gutters up or something like that. But that just protects the property. And then the flooring on the inside, I want it durable. So on most of my properties, I'll do tile on my rental properties. Now, that's just what I do. It's durable. It's easy to install. You can get some pretty good, you can even get installation done. Because it's going to take a lot of wear and tear, and about 95% of the tenants that you're going to have pets or kids, and you have to have something that you're not going to be replacing.
Yeah.
And if you have a flood in the house or the dishwasher or whatever, toilet runs over, shower leaks, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain that.
Right. So talking about kind of the floor and when you walk in, so I'm again just going off of my own house, but it was a 3-2. Like, I feel like that's pretty average for what people are. So you walk in, living room, flooring. If you're gonna do it yourself, make sure it's really, really good. If you can afford it, maybe consider actual professional because you can tell the difference. But then I want to talk about kind of what we did, and I feel like it made a total difference, and I feel like it was pretty cost effective. But yes, we changed the sconces in the hallway, but our house at the time, I think it was like a light white or tan color, right? We painted everything, and I feel like it just made all of the difference. And we didn't hire anyone. We painted ourselves. So, it took a while because we had some high ceilings, and we had Bear was 6 months old at the time. So we did that. So painting, I feel like it just goes so long. It's so underestimated of just like, And it's such a huge task, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think painting and then adding an accent wall, I think makes a huge difference. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree. Especially if you have an open area, it can really bring out like the features. It can make a room look bigger. You know, you can add mirrors to the wall, that kind of thing. So we don't go in and paint this room purple and that room pink
Crazy
and that room.
colors.
Yeah, I mean, like if you have a family, because you and I were talking about the stages of renovation in your own personal life, right? So we're like empty nesters, right? I mean, the only thing we do now is we have to make sure our house is kid friendly, but we've downsized. Like we took our dining room. We repurposed space in our house for my husband and I. And we have a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath house, right? A 2-story. And we had rooms that we weren't even using.
Right.
So we took our dining room and we turned it into our podcast studio, right? We took our TV room we turned that into the grandbaby's playroom. We took our guest room and we turned that into like the grandbaby guest room. And so a lot of the ideas that I get now, I get off of Pinterest, you know. Now, as we're doing this, I still keep in mind that we're going to be selling this house and, you know, probably in the next 5 years. And so when I make changes to it, I want to make sure that it doesn't change the value. It's not going to decrease my value. So I'm not going in and painting crazy colors. And even if I did, let's say for the kids' room, I painted it green or something, I would just paint it back. But painting is a really good way to upgrade and give value to your house.
Yeah. So it's funny you bring that up because when we moved into our current house, you know, each of the kids got their own room. So all three kids got their own room. And I did want to do the accent wall. We had done it to our bedroom. And I think actually that Bear, Toby, and our bedroom, Zach and I's bedroom, is actually all pretty. Because I got to choose those colors, right? Like I did. They were too young. They're not going to do it. When I asked Allie what color she wanted, she said magenta. And I was like, we are not painting the whole thing magenta. But I was like, okay, we'll do a wall. But in the back of my mind to have it, we are not going to, like, we'll definitely paint over that wall because I can't think of too many. Now, granted, more than likely someone purchasing our home is going to be a family coming in, but it might be all boys. So you never know. So
and that's why you want to make it neutral.
Right.
I mean, maybe not when you're living there, but you want to make it neutral when you're selling so it appeals to more buyers. That's the thing. So,
but going back, so I think that, so yes, we painted so I know we're going back and forth, but hopefully everyone's with us. But back in our older home, so we painted the whole living room and it made a world of a difference. But we painted the TV, where the TV was, we painted a dark gray. And then we had kind of like a really, really light tan color. And then our fireplace. So remember, we have the floor to ceiling brick fireplace. And it was like that kind of red brick mortar. We painted it all white and added a dark wooden floating shelf. And oh my gosh, like I think that alone updated our house by 10 years.
Yes.
Like, I mean, our listeners can imagine a 1985 house. So like it had carpets.
Wallpaper.
It had wallpaper. I mean, all the things. And so all the stuff that's dated, you can imagine what that looked like afterwards of having kind of that modern. I really do feel like it set our house up.
I feel like it made it look bigger. And I'm just going to say something because wallpaper is back in style again.
It is.
So when I first started investing back in 2006, almost every single house I bought had some kind of hideous wallpaper. And that's, you know what to get off. I think today the wallpaper that they have is maybe a little bit easier, but I mean every concoction you can think of to get wallpaper off. And I think what finally worked for me is I got some cheap like Downy softener.
Did you get Windex?
No, I got at Walmart you buy this really cheap it's like Downy fabric softener, but it's not. I think it's made in Mexico or something. And you mix it with water. You put it in a spray bottle and you just squirt. And then there's a tool that's almost like, I don't know, it has like little stabby things on it. What a mess. I can remember I covered head to toe in that stuff. But I mean, it worked. It got stuff off. And I mean, I bought every tool out there, every wallpaper remover, and I've removed a lot of. In fact, we had one house that. Do you remember
the leopard?
Well, the leopard, but I was thinking of the one that had the bugs in it.
Oh yeah.
It was I forget what they call that. It's grass, like grassy kind of wallpaper. And this house was kind of a hoarder home. So when we were renovating it and I was taking off the wallpaper, it actually had bugs in it. It was
I remember that. So gross.
So anyway, if you do wallpaper, I mean, it can make a room look really cool.
Yeah.
I've seen some great pictures of like, we were not talking about short-term rentals, but if you wanted to do a really cool room, like theme, Havana style or something, there's some really cool wallpaper out there.
There is. And that is one thing that I've actually how cool would it be to have like this wall? But I don't think I could mentally handle it.
Well, a lot of houses in the 80s and 90s had, like, you go into the kitchen and they had the ribbon of wallpaper around the top. And so so now when I see houses that have wallpaper, I'm like, oh, opportunity.
Yeah.
Because they're old and outdated.
Yeah. So talk about the living room, updating floor painting, all that stuff. So let's talk about kitchen and what you could do there, because that is one of the biggest places that you could really make a return on investment if you invest in your place. So let's talk about kitchen.
So, renovating a kitchen is where you really get the bang for the buck.
Would you say that's if you're going to renovate any space in your house, that's kind of the top place?
Yeah. The kitchen and bath, and you're going to get back your money, because it just adds value to your house. So let's just talk about layout, because a lot of kitchens, if it has an island, I mean, I've worked with houses that had islands and we've removed them. I'm not a bit, if it has a ton of, I like to look at the layout and think about, okay, especially if it's a big house, family's probably going to be, or somebody that likes to cook or something like that. Or is it a galley kitchen? Is it small? And in my experience, what I find is people want counter space and storage space.
Yes.
So no matter what the size of the kitchen is, I want to make sure I'm really maximizing the space for that. So cabinets that go all the way to the ceiling, very cool. Think about all the wasted space between the top of the cabinet. I don't even know why they do that. It's 42 inches and it's, could be 48. You can now, if you have a house, let's say you have a house and you don't have the money for new cabinets. So there's actually ways to build like that open space we're talking about, where you can build kind of a box with crown molding and some plywood, nice paint, whatever, and you can cover that and make it appear bigger, right?
Isn't there a way too that if you don't want to replace your whole entire cabinets, you can just replace like the doors and it makes a difference?
Yes. So if you, painting cabinet, now I would say in all the years of my renovations, if I want to do anything with the cabinets, I always hire somebody, because it is a job to paint kitchen cabinets, especially if they're old and they're wood. And, so some of the older homes have really nice wood cabinets that you wouldn't want to get rid of. I mean, they're oak, they're solid. You probably couldn't replace that, right?
Right.
So it's well worth hiring somebody to sand those and repaint those, to bring new life. Yes, you can put new doors on them. The other thing you can do is if they're really nice cabinets already, yes, you can paint them, but you can just change out the hardware.
Yeah.
The hardware makes a huge difference. So what's always worked for us is we go in and I brighten up that kitchen. I like the quartz for the countertops, a light color. Sometimes I've done houses with just a little pinch. I mean, a teeny, you won't even see it, but it shines up. It was purple. Kind of a weird color, right, in a kitchen. Yeah. I mean, it has to be super subtle, but some of the stone that has it really looks nice. And paint the cabinets white. And then the hardware, oh my gosh, there's so much to choose from now. But, I like the black or the rose gold.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is, after I know what stone I'm getting, then I go in and I say, okay, if I have to replace the cabinets, then I go to a cabinet company. I go to one of those places that you can actually see the design layout. And, we've done it both ways, where you order the cabinets and they come, and you have to assemble everything. Or we've hired people to come in and, just assemble them right there and put them in. But I kind of, when I'm designing the kitchen with the space and the colors, I already know what the floor is going to look like. So now, if I'm going to go with the white cabinets, and again, it depends on the area of the house, because some houses like they've had the white cabinets on the bottom and blue on top, or vice versa. So, colored painted cabinets, I don't know that I'm a big fan of. I kind of
Yeah.
like the solid color and all that. But again, personal preference.
Yeah.
I'm just saying if you're going to
Looking to sell or
looking to sell, kind of think of long term, you know,
Yeah.
what you're going to do. And then the other thing is the kitchen faucets.
I was just gonna say the sinks.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when we switched out ours to that Costco one, I mean, again, shout out to Costco. They have a great sink. But we love, and it, again, update our kitchen, and we did not have to do that much.
Right. And some people like the farmhouse sink, you know, the long,
Yeah.
big one. That's not me. I like to have this separate sinks. I like to have the
Yeah.
bigger one, the smaller one. Now they have like 3 sinks. So again, it just depends on what the major goal is. And I'm just going to say this on a house that I'm renovating for a rental, for a long-term rental, not short-term rental. I'm going to do the basics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to go in there and put in real high-end cabinets and that. And I'm normally, if I know it's going to be a long-term rental, I'm going to work with whatever cabinets are there.
Right.
Because cabinets cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
If there's, I'm trying to think of that laminate countertops. Yeah, I am going to replace that. But I'm going to do something sturdy. I'm not going to just do, I have done tile. That doesn't usually work very good in a rental. You know, you can get away with, what did I just call that? That plastic. It's not laminate. I mean, I have left that in rentals. I mean, again, it's not real sturdy either. So, you know, I think just your basic countertop is what I would go with. And then when I'm living in a house, when I'm flipping or a long-term rental, I never put in a refrigerator. I never put in a refrigerator because, number one, from a long-term rental space, the reason I don't put in a refrigerator is because if it breaks, I don't want to fix it.
Right.
You know, if the kids like to hang on it or whatever, so in all of my long-term rentals, the tenant has to provide the refrigerator. Now, if I buy a house and there's already a refrigerator there, and it's usable, I'll leave it. But in my lease agreement, I will say that, you know, we're providing a refrigerator, but if it breaks, that we're not going to replace it.
Right.
And the tenant has to, you know, haul it off.
Right.
So, and most people, that's okay.
Yeah.
So if you're selling a house, you know, appliances are important. And the ones that have to stay are, of course, the stove, dishwasher, you know, anything built in. So refrigerators are one of those things that it should just match what you have.
Yeah.
But you might have a high-end property and you want to do, like, you have a sub-zero fridge.
Right.
I mean, you know, if you had this kind of kitchen and the fridge, the outside of the fridge matches the cabinet, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're flipping houses, though, you know, it depends on the price point of the house, how much money you want to spend in the kitchen. Because if it's a $500,000 house, $700,000 house that you're flipping, you're going to want to make sure you put in high-end appliances, you know, top grade, countertops, cabinets, the whole works. If you're flipping a $250,000 house, you know, you're going to put in stainless steel appliances. You can get them affordable. You know, you're going to put in nice fixtures. You're just not going to go high end.
Right.
And then in your own home, it's personal preference, but think about the resale value, especially if you know you're going to be selling your house in the next 2 to 5 years when you're doing this.
Yeah. And I think for me, like, you know, you talk about stages of life, and I think one thing that we wish that we had a little bit more of was the opportunity to put the kid, like, you know, the kids are 2 and 3, so I do wish that, like, because I want them involved putting dishes up, or hey, you can go get your own cup and all that stuff. And so I wish that the kitchen offered like an opportunity for them to have like their own space, whereas, you know, like whether it's drawers that pull out that I can organize to put like their plates and cups in, because right now it's just like cabinets that you just open up and it's just a hot mess. And so I think like if you're gonna renovate, think about those things too, like maybe provide, like I think that adds value into your kitchen.
Yes.
For a family home.
Yes. So like in your island, just a suggestion for you is that you could buy your island. It opens up, and I guess it's supposed to be for big pots and pans. So you might have to have Zach or Brian build you like little cubbies in there for the kids, you know, so that they can get there. But you're right. There's in your house, your cabinets are kind of high.
Yeah, they are.
The ones for like plates and dishes and things.
Yeah. And another thing too that I think that a lot of kitchens have, and that maybe this is a dining room thing too, if you decide to use your dining room, but the light fixture.
Oh, yes.
Changing that out. And that makes it, I mean, that's inexpensive DIY that you can do. And that changes. I mean, and also too, just talking about the whole entire house, fans.
Yes.
Because that's something that we did that made our house look more updated.
Yes. You can do a lot with lighting in the house. And they have so many things now. Just a little, my husband bought me some under the counter lights. And I think he was he goes, well, I know you would like these and everything. And I would, but they're the kind that you have to recharge and they don't last very long.
Under the counter lights for where?
For under the cabinets. Right.
Oh.
And so it's a strip and you literally just, stick them up there, which is all good. And they look nice.
For it to go into the cabinet or to?
No. So underneath the bottom of the cabinet.
Oh, the top cabinets.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's a black strip and has these little lights.
Yeah.
And they're LED. But the thing is they have a phone charger kind of set up to charge them. So, and they don't last very long. And so I was like, in fact, I think they've been up there for a couple of months now. I haven't even turned them on because I know I have to get up under there and figure out where the plug goes and whatnot. So, yeah, I would say do a little bit more high dollar on that. But that looks nice too when you backlighting. That's what so lighting throughout the house. Yeah, we did that in our house. Just I was kind of looking around. I was like, oh my gosh, this is something that we can do. It's you can get light fixtures. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on light fixtures, but you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's, specialty lighting stores, and they have some really cool lights. And think about this. Like in our closet, we got a chandelier. And we don't have a huge walk-in closet, but you know what? It makes me feel like I live in $1 million mansion.
Well, that's just a little I think that's just something that sets you above when you are trying to sell your house.
Yeah, because when people look up and they say, whoa, so it's like this little chandelier that I found. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like it. We're going to hang it up. So
when we redo our closet, I think that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, lighting really makes the difference.
So I think talking about light fixtures, and I don't know why this made me think of, but bathrooms. So I thought that would be a good one to go to. And
I love bathrooms.
I know. I just wish that, so that's one area that I feel like you could change a lot inexpensively.
You could change. So you know what? You could just get a new toilet. Some of the older homes have those really short toilets. You people know what I'm talking about, right? And when you get older, that's hard on your knees. So, and there's different kinds of toilets. Who knew? But I ended up finding out about toilets because of the different houses. And if you have a house that has a septic system, you need a high-powered whoosh kind of toilet to make sure it gets out and goes where it needs to go, right? And then they have efficiency toilets, and toilets can be a cool thing, when you think about it, when you go to somebody's house, okay, I know you judge people by their bathrooms. So, but lighting is a cool thing to do in a bathroom. I mean, you can have, that's where a lot of us women spend our time, putting our makeup on and our hair and whatnot. So I think one thing that, is really adds value is having a mirror that the light adjusts.
Oh, yeah.
You could do this for yourself, but also for resale value.
Yeah.
That's cool. And not very many people have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they have mirrors now that it actually adjusts to daylight or, moonlight or whatever it is. And then in a lot of these houses that are just builder grade, you can do a simple DIY that will dress it up. So this is what we did. I think I even have a video out there somewhere. So in our bathroom, what we did is we got crown molding and I spray painted it out in the garage. And we literally framed the big mirror that was already hanging on the wall. They just stick a big piece of glass up there and with glue. And we changed out the fixtures. Now, you were talking about spraying fixtures.
Yeah. So there's a DIY person I follow out there that she kind of talks about the simple step that you could do. Just there's a special spray paint that you can get that makes it matte black that you can spray your fixtures, your water fixtures, so your sink and your bathtub and all that, and it won't deteriorate. I have no idea what it's called off the top of my head. If anyone is actually interested in that, I'm sure you can find it by Googling. But one thing too that I think that you could upgrade, and we've talked about doing this to our own house to make it different from builder grade, because a lot of builder grade, and I know you guys did it in your bathroom, but the vanity, going from the pedestal sink to the vanity, and I don't think that I mean, you just have to make sure your measurements are kind of,
Yes.
you know, they're
Yes,
not
and
kind
that,
of, but they are, right?
yeah. So if you have like a half bath and it just has that pedestal sink and it's, you know, you see the ugly things.
Well,
Now,
and it doesn't add any storage.
and there's no storage. So yeah, you just that's so simple to just go get a vanity at any Home
Costco
Depot,
has one.
Costco, Wayfair.
Yeah.
I mean, you can order them online, just like you said, the measurements. And you can find them in all different kinds of budgets.
Yeah.
And in fact, almost every single house that we've renovated, we will buy a new vanity because they're not that expensive to put in.
And they just make a difference because, I mean, sitting here, it is on our to-do list to do, but we have it right now and we just have we just have a little table in there that has like toilet paper on it.
Right.
And, you know, for our extra. And it's like, how nice would it be just to put that away and like our extra towels or something like that? Like, we don't need a ton of storage, but it's just nice to have something in there.
Yes.
And something we did to our half bath, and, you know, this kind of goes back to the crazy paint color situation. I don't feel like it's super crazy, but we painted ours a really dark, like, kind of teal color, and I just think it is one of our favorite colors in the house. So I think just, you know, it's a small enough room that we could take that step to be a little crazy, but it's not too crazy.
Yeah.
You know
so
what I
I'm
mean?
just going to weigh in on that because for me, that room's too dark.
Oh, see, no, we
It
always
needs
get compliments on
I
it.
know. So it just is. And
But you want to know.
it's because of the way you decorated it.
Yes. And so it's so funny because, I was actually going to bring that up because we kind of went with like, and, you know, I think that houses, like a lot of people, they spend too much time on trying to like make sure the whole thing meshes. And obviously our house is not like all over the place. Like for the most part it matches. But our bathroom, this half bath, I mean, it's such a small room. We're like, why not? And so we have like pictures of like Highland cows in there, and the mirror is kind of like a little gothic, you know, frame. And we want to change out the light fixture, but it's a small room that I feel like people look at it and we get a lot of compliments.
And it's right
on
off the, you know, it's, I mean, that's kind of where people go when they come over, right?
So, but for the primary bathroom and like the kids' bathroom and things like that, I think, just having, I will say, I can't really think of anything right off the bat that I would do for the kids' bathroom upstairs. Mine is changing out the fixtures and like the towel handles, but we added, you know, one of those, like you can get nice shelving systems for above the toilet or even cabinets.
Yes, you've done a really good job with the space. And I was going to say too, you know, one of the things people want to know about, you know, should you have a bathtub in your house? And as long as you have one, so like we have in our primary bathroom, we have a, you know, there's a huge tub on one side and the shower's on the other side. So we're thinking of renovating because we don't really need a bathtub downstairs because we have two upstairs, right? And so we are thinking of reconfiguring our entire bathroom for resale value. We've already extended our closet. And so, again, where you get the biggest value on your resale when you spend money on your houses is your kitchen and your bathroom. So we could literally make one of those dual, you know, with the dual shower heads, walk in. I like the half wall that they have and make it more spa-ish. And so we're considering doing that because we have the space to do it. And I don't worry about, I'm going to get rid of the bathtub because I have two bathtubs upstairs. Right. So, because people like, now, if somebody likes a big bathtub, you know, but I'm not a bath person. I mean, I take one every now and then, but, you know, I love a walk-in shower with the rain, you know, the rain fixture.
Yeah.
So that's always good. So,
But for me, it's funny because, I mean, I feel like we have kind of similar, not layout, but like rooms in our houses. And so if a family were to buy this house and they had that, that would almost put me off because I do want a bathtub because I have the littles and I like giving them a bath downstairs in our room. And then, I mean, eventually when they're older, they'll take baths upstairs in the actual kids' bathroom. But when they're little right now, I like having the bathtub in my bedroom, in my my bathroom, because it helps me get them all ready for bed.
Exactly.
So I think that's just stuff to think about later on. It's like, how long do you want to hold on to your house?
Yes.
And things
and
like
I'm going
that.
to just say a couple things too about a bath, because a lot of you know, sometimes the bathrooms are pretty bland. They're white. And I learned that you can tile over tile. So a few years ago, I had to learn how to tile because we were over budget on a house we were flipping. And we had money to buy the tile, but we didn't have money to pay somebody because it was It was a big house that we had to tile. So I actually started in the laundry room practicing, and I ended up tiling an entire house, 3 bathrooms with the surround and all of that. So I think I know a thing or two about tiling now. I know how to cut it, know how to grout it and all that. Yeah. It's a mess. I don't do it anymore, but because I make sure I'm on budget. But anyway, but one thing, we had a house and I was like, oh, I hate this tile. You know what? And I don't really want to, in a bathroom, if you have to take the tile off, it's just a mess, right? So I did some research and I found that you can tile over tile. Now, depending on how fat the tile, this happened to be tiny subway tile, so it wasn't very fat. And we were doing stone. And it's a whole process that you have to go through. And I Googled it. I learned it. Now, I will say I got about 3/4 of the way into it, and I couldn't really figure out how to finish off the round part of it. So we were having some work done on other parts of the house. So I talked to the contractor, and he cut me a deal because I had done the majority of the work. Yeah. So sometimes you can start the job just to save money, right, and then have them do the finish off, right? And that's what I did. And so you would never know that. So,
So I guess talking about contractors, I know we mentioned, and we won't go long into it, but maybe what are your key things? Because you've worked with a lot of contractors, so maybe let's not spend too much time on it, but what are your key things you should take away when hiring a contractor?
Okay, number 1, where did you find them? You know, number 2, get it in writing. And when I say get it in writing, because sometimes contractors, I've done deals where we've written it on the back of an envelope or on a piece of brick, right? Or a piece of wood, because usually the way I work with contractors, and I used to own a property management company, so I do know a lot of contractors, but when I go into a newer area, I usually start asking for referrals or, you know, something. And so I'll have them start usually with a small job. Now, if I have a whole house renovation, I have different people that do different things. So I don't have one person doing the entire house. I act as my own general contractor, meaning that I'm hiring the AC guy, I'm hiring the plumber, I'm hiring the foundation, I'm hiring the handyman. That saves you about 10 to 15% on your job if you can learn how to manage the crew. And then some cities you have to pull a permit, and depending on how your company is set up, so my company is set up so I am listed as a general contractor, I can go and pull permits, not as an AC person or an electrical person, but as a general contractor. And then it is very, very important. If you're having, you know, check with your city that you're doing, do you have to pull permits? Right. Because especially even if it's on your own personal home, because there's been instances that I'm aware of where people have done, let's say, a room addition, and they didn't know and they didn't disclose, they didn't get a permit pulled, and then they went ahead and did the work. Then they sold their house. Then the new owners, I don't know, had an inspection or something, and then found out that there were no permits pulled, and now the city is going to require them to, you know, tear it out or whatever. So you as the seller can get sued for that. So if you're going to do electrical, you know, usually these are the big things, your AC unit. So just check. And it's not like you have to call up the city. You can usually find the information on their website.
And just for people that live in HOAs, make sure you get approved by the HOA.
Yes.
Doing all that we had to do. And and I say that because we redid our backyard. And that's another place that maybe you consider if you can. If it's in budget, you get a lot return on investment too. Like we built an overhead patio for ours. And we extended, even at our older house, we had like a tiny concrete slab and we extended it and it added value. But things like that, make sure you double check with your HOA getting that approved as well.
Yes. And speaking of, you know, we didn't really touch on the backyard, but if you can create a living space outside, people love that. Yeah. So we did that almost in every house that we've either lived in or we've renovated. We have created a backyard. And so for a long-term rental, because I usually have people that have pets and they want a yard, right? So that means usually you have to have a fence. Yeah. So I look for properties where, you know, so fencing is another thing, and I don't do chain link. Yeah. You have to do wood, and then you have to do a consideration of what kind of fence you're going to put in. I don't do, 8-foot board-on-board privacy fence for a long-term rental, but I do for my own personal house. Or if I'm renovating a high-end house for a flip.
Yeah, definitely. So are there any other places in the house that you can think of that you would maybe, if someone's trying to get that updated look, but on a budget that you could think
So,
of.
one of the things that kind of just came to my mind because it's, kind of on is a smart home. And it depends on how you feel about all of that. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure, but, like your thermostats and turning lights on. So, investing in smart home technology is not only a good thing to do while you live at the home, but it's also for resale value. I think that's where people are going to really want to go.
Yeah.
And think about all the things that you could regulate, your sprinkler system, your lights when you're on vacation, locks on your door. So I think that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's really smart. Just stay with the modern times.
Yes. And then do stay abreast. Like if you're not a decorator, go out to Pinterest. But one of the things that you can do is if you're thinking about selling your home is contact your local realtor and have them pull the houses that have sold that are similar in the style and size of your home, bedrooms. And when they send those to you, just tell them you want to look at sold homes, and you go and you click on the pictures, because that'll kind of give you an idea of what is trending right on the time that you're selling. Because what we're talking about today, smart home technology might be a thing of a past,
right?
Or having an accent wall, or we talked about wallpaper. So if you're listening to this, 3 years down the road, you won't want to just follow that advice.
Right.
Now, I can say with confidence that anytime you upgrade your bathrooms and kitchens, there's always going to be value in that added to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like you ought, and also too, closets.
Yes.
Because that's another project that we want to do is, I feel like that's an area as well that you would get bang for your buck, and also to make it like more organizational and more, functional, things like that. I think when we were looking at houses, I remember that being like a key factor.
Yes. Especially, what stage you're at in your life. Like, so if you have kids, if you have pets,
right.
If you like to store a lot of stuff, so I agree with that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the things that I can think of. What about you?
I think I'm good. I do want to say this on just a word of caution about contractors, because I have had, my share of, troubles, and you want to make sure you get everything in writing and never ever pay them ahead of what they're doing. A lot of contractors, they'll try and get you to pay 50% down. You know what, go find another contractor.
Right.
Don't get sucked into that, because what happens is you'll get ahead of paying them and they won't get the job done. And it's super easy in Texas for a contractor to put a lien on your house, and it's very hard for you to get the house, get it off your house.
Right.
So just, keep going. There's a lot of contractors, and, just make sure everything is in writing. And also, this is a tip, because I found out the hard way, but it was a good lesson, is make sure they have insurance. They're bonded, and get a copy of their insurance. So just a real quick story. We had our patio, we decided to extend. We went to a reputable home show and hired somebody from the home show. You would think, and I thought, I vetted them, and turned out the person that I signed the contract with wasn't the owner of the company. I gave them a fat deposit to get started. But luckily I knew to get their certificate of insurance, and they made a major error. Our patio sloped towards our house. So when it rained, the water was coming. So I filed a claim, and I got their insurance company. It took a couple months to do this, but I got their insurance company to pay to redo it. Right.
Yeah.
So
good.
So get the certificate of insurance.
Yeah. And like always, if you have any questions, or, you need a second pair of eyes or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us. Follow us on all the social medias. And if you like this episode, let us know. Share with a friend. Subscribe to hear our next one. We're about to have guests on, so we appreciate if you've made it this far.
Yes. Thank you so much. And Kelcie, love you.
Love you.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.